Welcome to Mendezville Live, with something to talk about. Here is Rudy Mendez. What's going on, Mendezville Live? Another little show. I got a little guest for you today. Hopefully everybody's doing okay. I put a nice little political post yesterday. Hopefully some of you read it. It was a pretty good story. Some ins and outs, some information I didn't know about at the time. So some people call me and share some knowledge with me. And I'm like, oh, you know what? That's good information to know. So hopefully the political world out there and the voters out there can educate themselves and ask questions about that. It's like my person in San Antonio always says, follow the money and you'll find out. But we'll see. Hey, this broadcast is brought to you by Luber Mobile Oil Change. New convenient way of making your oil change. They will come to you. Also by For Life, Together Building People. It is the immune system company. If you want to transfer factor molecules in your system, you buy the supplements at www.forlife.com/Rudy Mendez. And Mendez Sports Training as well. All right. So without that, or after that stuff there, without further ado, let's introduce my guests. We're going to be talking about football today. Hard work, dedication, what it takes, experience. My guest is currently a high school math teacher and a former University of Texas Longhorns football player. Let's introduce my man, Luciano Martinez. What's going on, Coach?
¿Cómo estamos, sir? How you doing?
Doing all right, man. I'm excited. I'm excited to have you on the show. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
You know, I don't know if you've seen any of my other shows. I had Adan Montalvo here. I'm going to get Eric Montalvo here. I had Kenny Benoit. I've had some people in here. You know, I had a track coach from former UTSA alumni. And I'm on a quest of information on advising and teaching young athletes, parents, on the journeys of everyone and how everybody can learn from each other and advice. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
So, hey, Luciano. So, Coach, when did you graduate? You graduated from La Jolla, correct?
I'm a La Jolla graduate. Yes, sir.
Nice.
2008.
Oh, snap. Is that before the split? Is that the last year?
It was the last year of the split, my brother.
So that was a powerhouse, and I'm assuming.
Yeah, most definitely. Right,
So-
with third round deep.
Oh, snap. Who was last opponent?
Converse Judson.
Oh, snap. That must have
They
been a
went
great
out.
game.
They went out to play. Yeah, it was a great game. We could have had that game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what's it called? Converse Judson went out to play for the state championship that year.
Oh, nice.
They lost to ULS Trinity.
Wait, 2008. So I missed that game. I think I was living out in Los Angeles at the. Yeah, I was. I was living out because I remember I saw the Judson game, but that was back in
2005.
Yeah, I saw that game.
2005, 2006, something like that.
Whatever it was. It was early. I was still living in Texas. I got to see that game, but I didn't I didn't know it was in 2008. I didn't know it
Yeah,
happened
there was
again.
another one, man. My cousin Robert played with La Jolla también, and he played against the Converse Justin team that year, that time. I don't know if it was 2005 or 2006, but it was definitely one of those 2 years.
Oh, snap. Nice. So how intense was it? A close game or?
At first, it was a pretty close game,
Yeah.
man. If I don't remember incorrectly, it was a good game. Close enough to where we had Converse Judson on their toes, and they knew we were coming after them. So I if I recall correctly, it was a pretty close game until towards the end. I think they scored 2 touchdowns ahead of us, and that's where it got a little bit where we weren't gonna catch up, or we didn't catch up. So
one of those things. Yeah, the game kind of over. It's hard to come back. Wait, Coach. So give the students a journey. Like how successful you were in junior high or freshman, sophomore year. Like, or were you always good, or did you have to work hard, or de repente you hit puberty? How did that work?
You know what? Let me tell you. I like to tell this story to football players, especially high school football players, because I'm from the same area. So del mismo lugar.
Yeah.
From La Jolla.
So where are you from? Exactly. Where'd you grow up? During high school?
I was born in Monterrey, dog.
No, but while you were in high school.
I'm from La Jolla, straight up, man.
Oh, La Jolla, the city of La Jolla.
No. Well, I grew up in Mission, but I went to La Jolla High School. I lived 8.5 Moorfield. I was like one street away from being at Mission Eagles.
Oh, so you live over in the miles. Okay, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, so back then, pues La Jolla took all of that range. And
Huge district.
Yeah, man. So in those years was it was that's why I guess you can say it was a huge powerhouse because everybody from all over the place. You had the people from the miles that were always running and stuff. They say, uh,
All right, so
but
that means you went to Ann Richards, no?
no, I actually and this is part why I like to tell my story. I didn't play middle school football. I was
Oh,
a
snap.
super late bloomer, dude.
Oh, yeah?
So I actually went to the teacher academy in Edinburgh. It was
Oh.
called I went when I first started there was the teacher academy, and the year that I was there as an eighth grader, um, they changed the name to BETA Beta
Mm,
Business
mm,
Education Technology Academy or something like that.
right.
So I didn't play football as a middle school kid. I played maybe touch football 1 year as an elementary kid with some boys and girls club, but I was a super late bloomer. I was fat,
Mm-hmm.
242 in the sixth grade. Very
Oh, yeah,
unathletic.
you were pretty big.
Yeah, dude, I was big. I was huge, and uh, I had no athleticism in me at all whatsoever. You could still say I'm pretty big, pretty bulky, and my athleticism sucks. But what I would tell anybody is that what I had here in my chest, not very many people have. So, um, and what I had here too. It's a good combo to have if you're not very athletic, and it helps you out. So my middle school journey, I didn't play football. I went to the teacher academy. I was a nerd,
Yeah,
straight up nerd.
yeah.
Uh, Junior, what's it called? Ninth grade year, going towards ninth grade year. Well, actually, in eighth grade, it hit me. I guess the idea that I wanted to lose some weight because, but you start to like girls, and girls don't like at the time. You were getting bullied for being fat and whatnot. You want to change your body the way
Right.
it looked.
Yeah.
So I wanted to join the sport of football for that reason. The eighth grade year, I said to myself, I need to get in shape. I weigh 200 and something pounds, and I'm a little ball of fat, very unathletic, and if I want to go and play football, I think I need to start changing my shape. So I did. I actually ended up what is my second semester in eighth grade year. This is my journey, brother. Second semester in eighth grade year, I went from weighing 245, 250 to 180 pounds. By the time I
Nice.
got to the freshman year, I mean, what helped me too was the fact that I was going through puberty. I guess
Yeah.
I was getting that growth spurt.
Yeah, but you were
Uh,
also exercising, no?
Oh
Or
yeah, dude. I was
yeah.
getting up. From being a nerd, I was a straight up nerd. I started waking up at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning when my dad would get out to go to work. I started getting up. My dad had gotten a treadmill at the time, and I started running on it. Started jogging on it slowly and having it at like 5% to like 6% incline at
Yeah.
6 miles per hour. And I estaba en friegas,
Right.
I remember tying logs up to me because I didn't have weights growing up. Tying like mesquite around
Uh-huh.
my strapping it up with chains and seat belts, and I remember pulling that. So I really wanted to change my body so that I could prepare myself for high school
For
slash
ninth
football
grade.
if I was
Right.
gonna do football.
So in your mind, you're like, I'm gonna be a football player next year and as a ninth grader.
Yeah, as a ninth grader, and it was badass. This is what I was determined to do. So then ninth grade year hits. Mind you, I've lost all this body weight, right? And I said to myself, I'm weighing 180 pounds. I look pretty decent. Uh, I want to be a fullback, running back. Say, oh, New York, and
Yeah,
yes, sir,
right, right,
running
right,
back.
right,
And I
right.
remember at the time when I got to ninth grade year, that estaban las two ninth and 10th grade centers, que estaba Jimmy Carter y estaba Juarez Lincoln.
Oh yeah.
And I belonged to the Juarez Lincoln at the time, and that was the red team, and Jimmy Carter at the time was the white team. So you have your A and B teams, and I started off on the red team, because that's where we belong, and then they separated you at the end. So pues yo quería ser running back. But dude, when you lose that, I guess I don't know how it really works. To be honest with you, I never had speed. I was very athletic, but I know that when I lost all that weight, dude, I couldn't do push-ups. I couldn't do. I couldn't run for crap. I was just, I had to start from a zero, even though I thought I was ready. I wasn't ready. All these kids that were already in junior highs playing sports, they had an upper hand so much more further than I did. I didn't.
Right.
I wasn't playing middle school football, so they were just so much more further advanced than I was, and I had no speed. I couldn't do push-ups. I think that when the coaches finally maxed us out, I was bench pressing like 95 pounds or
Mm,
105 pounds. You know, weighing 180 pounds. I couldn't, to me, I was very embarrassed. But you got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
So that's one thing you got to take into account. And I started somewhere. I realized that I wasn't gonna be a running back. I think I remember Coach Guerra. I think it was I think that's who it was. Coach Guerra says, you know what? Let's try you at tight end. So I remember they put me out at tight end. I couldn't block for crap, man. I couldn't move. I just didn't know anything about football, you know. And then I remember him saying, "Let's try you out defensive line." Let's go try defensive line. In nada, dog. Didn't have the aggressiveness. I don't know anything about football. I'm a freshman guy. Didn't know anything about, step here, step there. I was barely learning how to explode. So I transferred from Coach Guerra to Coach Gonzalez. I remember Gonzalo Gonzalez. He was my coach for a couple of the defensive line. And then once they realized I wasn't very good at the defensive line, they said, you know what? I don't know where else to put you. Let's just put you as somewhere on the offensive line. And I remember that very specifically. I was a little bit torn because I was 180 pounds and I was going to be on the offensive line. And I was like, well, I wanted to play running back. I thought I was fast enough. I wasn't. But offensive lineman, man, first thing is I'm a big boy. And I'm a big boy at heart. And one thing that I learned now as a coach is, as a coach, you kind of have an idea where you can best place your students or your athletes. And I think that at the time, coaches at the time made the best decision for me because it led to where it led me. So then as an offensive lineman on the supposable red team, I didn't cut it either. And they moved me out to the white team. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to tell you, it's interesting you mentioned those things because I'm what kind of grind or what kind of difficulty did you go through mentally? You lost all this weight. You think you're fast. You're there and you're realizing, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm trying my best. Coach is trying his best. Like, is there at any point where there's doubt or there's that you second guess yourself or you feel off for that self-esteem that messes with you at that time in your case?
You know what? And that's funny because I was going to get to that at a later part in my journey in football. There's a no quitter mentality in me. There's just something in my mind that just says, don't quit, even when you want to quit, because you got nothing to prove to nobody. And I didn't think about it like that when I was in high school. There was no, I just want to play football. I want to put on the uniform, I just wanted to be a part of the football team. My dad actually played football in Mexico with UANL, what's it called? Las Víboras, like a side school. It wasn't UANL, Los Atléticos Tigres, but it was like Las Víboras de Medicina. It's like their medical department or something like that. They're in Monterrey. So I wanted to be like my dad. Even if it meant just putting on the uniform, never playing, I guess. I just didn't want to quit. And I wanted to look good, So
in your mind, you weren't going to quit. You were just going to do whatever you were told and let's do it.
Yeah, exactly. Do what you're told. So I ended up being on the white team. Not even starting. I was like second string on the white team. And the neat thing about that particular white team is I think, we won district to begin with. But only one team, and I didn't play very much, but only one team, scored a touchdown on us. And it was the Sherryland white team at the time. That was the only team that scored a touchdown against the La Jolla Coyote white team. So I'm damn mighty proud of that. You know what I mean? I even have a shirt that says that has all the scores there at my parents' house or something like that.
Nice.
So I was proud of that. I was proud to be of an organization that, I was in the white team. I didn't know any better. And the coaches knew what they had to do with me. They put me in where they thought it was the best thing for the team. For me.
Right.
They got to do for the team. That was the best thing for me because I had zero experience in football. And all these guys are so much further advanced than I am. So that was the best thing for me. They could do the team. It was the best thing for me.
I'm glad you shared that story because I didn't know that story behind you. And me being a junior high coach, there's a few things in my mind already that the viewers, the parents, the players need to watch is as a junior high coach, I go home worried. On, man, where do I put this kid? I got to make sure he plays. I got to make sure he's successful. A team, B team, and I'm afraid, I'm always fearful of well, I don't want to ruin the kid's self-esteem. And I always tell them, you got to understand, some of us are a little bit bigger now, some of us are a little bit smaller now, but once you get to high school, everybody catches up. The most important thing right now is for you to get as many reps as possible with guys that are about the same size as you right now. That's what we're here for, to develop athletes in that sense. And I explain it to them, and hopefully I'm just hoping as a coach they go home and they're okay with it. I mean, they have fun. Both teams have fun. Another thing that's interesting you said is you thought you were fast. Now that puts into perspective of what I'm doing is that I track their times. Like, everybody's time is there. They know their progress. So when a kid tells me, hey, coach, why I'm not playing running back? Well, our running back's running a 5'1" versus a 6'4". I mean, that's a big difference. And that way there's a more self-awareness. Yeah. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because now I understand in your example, and I'm thinking while we're conversing, is the data that I'm showing them gives them a lot of self-awareness to where it's not about everybody else. It's about you, the individual, and what you want to accomplish. I'm glad you mentioned that, man. That's great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But you guys have it harder there at the middle school because the kids haven't exactly hit 100% puberty. You don't know who's going to be big and who's going to be small.
Yeah, you don't. You
got kids that blow up in ninth grade year, and they're just, you thought he was going to be a short, skinny little kid, and all of a sudden he's this big 6'7" guy, weighs 220 pounds, your ideal defensive end. And where did you have him? Receiver. So you guys at the middle school level, you guys have it a little bit difficult because you guys you don't see where the growth spurt is going yet.
Right.
Some of them got there, some of them didn't. So that's my personal opinion. But you guys have it difficult there at that middle school level. So then going back, do I continue my story?
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, okay. So then with going back to sophomore year, well, let me finish off with freshman year, because it's important to note that the weight room became my first love. Coach Benoit was actually the reason why I already kind of started lifting on the side.
Which one?
With Valdemar Benoit.
Right.
He kind of got me started with the whole weight room. Let's be aggressive in the weight room. I remember one time I was doing a power clean. It was like a very lightweight power clean, but he said it was okay to express yourself and to yell. And dude, I yelled in that weight room. I remember, if I'm not mistaken, I got to a point where I don't remember what I started off with, but I know that by the end of the freshman year, I was already power cleaning 185 pounds. So that's you're talking already big gains.
Yeah.
And it was all because Coach Benoit allowed me to express myself in the weight room and really fall in love with the weights and what it was to be in the weight room. So the weight room became to me something like a first love. And it's just something that I've always done since then. I had already done push-ups on the side. I had done body squats. I had pulled logs. But the weight room, as a football team, when I got in there, it opened up where I could lead, where it was going to lead me to. Yeah. And I fell in love with it. So I started bench pressing 90, 95 pounds, 105 pounds as a freshman, weighing 180 pounds. Everybody else was bench pressing 135 pounds, 150 pounds. I was the only guy that wasn't. Yeah. By the time sophomore year rolled around, it was a different story. I was a little bit thicker. I understood how to lift weights. Sophomore year was a big change for me. Sophomore year, 2-a-days rolls around. Coach Bill Wood. I don't know if you got a chance to meet Coach Bill Wood. No, Coach Bill Wood was around, and Coach Joe Trevino was around. Bill Wood was the defensive coordinator, and Coach Trevino was the offensive coordinator. And at the time, I was still floating, hey, what position am I going to play? So I thought to myself, well, my cousin Robert, who, by the way, was an animal at defensive end, I looked up to him. I wanted to be just like him after my father. My father and my cousin Robert were the two people that I admire, and the reason why I got into football in the first place. So I said, let me try out for defensive end. So I did, and Coach Bill Wood really, really liked me. I performed well. The first 2 scrimmages, I did a hell of a job. From a guy that was in the freshman white team to being on the sophomore, he actually Coach Bill Wood, and this is where everything happens for a reason. Coach Bill Wood decided to try me out with give me a couple of reps with the varsity team. Uh, and I did. I got a couple of reps, and I got this bad stinger against this guy. I think his name was Rolando. Super bad stinger. Well, I penetrated the line of scrimmage. I got to where I was supposed to.
And this is during practice.
Yes, this was during practice. He was giving me a couple of reps with the varsity. I penetrated the line of scrimmage. Coach Joe Trevino was getting after the guard. You know, we used to run the 36 sweep on the offensive line. I don't know if you remember any of that. 36 sweep, wing 36 sweep, and Coach Joe Trevino was getting after the offensive lineman that would just keep missing me, and I would just keep penetrating the line of scrimmage. And so Coach Bill Wood was all excited, and I'm getting all excited because I'm a sophomore kicking somebody's ass, like it's my turn right now, baby.
Coming from the B team freshman.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm all excited. I'm kicking ass. So Coach Joe Trevino says, run the same play again. And he runs it like 2 or 3 times. And the third time, he finally blocks me correctly. And I get this super bad stinger because he blocks me from the side. And I get this stinger, and it just kind of really hurts. And I don't say anything. So I just go back again, and I don't perform as well. So Coach Bill Wood finally says, you know what? Good job, excellent. Then we go to the other field, and we do some more practice. I don't remember the exact details of that. And then he just says, we'll go back to the red team. And all this time, I'm just kind of hurting right here. And I don't say anything because in my head, I'm just thinking, if I tell somebody something, I'm going to get in trouble. And in reality, I should have said something. I probably wouldn't have been looked at. So like, oh man, this guy's a softie. When I was not as soft as I was, as I was, I guess, portraying myself when I didn't play as good because I was hurting. So I should have said something. That's one lesson that I would like to tell people. If you're hurting, like legitimately hurting, tell people that you're hurting. Because it's important. Because I actually ended up sitting out the rest of the season because of the shoulder. Coach Doc Walker finally, one of the practices after 2 red team games. I played 2 games with my shoulder all messed up. I had nerve damage on my shoulder. So Coach Wood, one time we're running scout, and I flat out lie on the ground. I'm just holding my shoulder and kind of just like storming up cursing up a storm. I'm just like, tears start to come out because I no aguantaba el dolor. Yeah. Sure enough, I go inside, and Doc says, "You're done for the season. Do you have nerve damage?" And so me aguanté un dolor que I shouldn't. No me había haber aguantado. I should have gotten looked at after, immediately. Pero pues I didn't want to be looked at as, oh, this guy's soft, And Doc Walker pulled me for the rest of the season. And again, I stayed in the football program, and I thought to myself, well, why am I doing all this rehab? Am I ever going to be, am I going to play again? I just do the rehab. I'm inside, and get to go outside every once in a while and do my shoulder workouts and whatnot that Doc Walker was giving me. Cool beans. So then we come back out to the spring because my season was over as a sophomore.
Right.
So we come back out to the spring, and Doc Walker starts working me out, and I get my workout in. My shoulder starts to move a little bit more actively. To this day, dude, to be honest with you, I'll feel like when I'm doing like dumbbell front raises where my shoulder doesn't come up all the way, it still kind of like limbs up a little bit. But for the most part, it's, I think I'm like 99.9%. So sophomore year, spring rolls around, and I hit the weight room, man. It's just, let's go. And I hit the weight room again. I hit it hard, and you're big. That year, that spring, Coach Joe Trevino asked me to be on the offensive line. Just switch position. Cool. I mean, coaches know best. You do what you do. So I got moved over to the offensive line, and we did some reps. Junior year, I got to see the playing field. Maybe I get to say maybe 9 minutes in the playoff game. Yeah, at the very end, when the starting guy got hurt, and I wasn't very good. And then because I didn't know any better, I only knew what I knew, and I thought I wanted to be a defensive lineman this whole time, but as an offensive lineman was the best thing to do as a high school player. And so I got maybe 9 minutes total all season that year, junior year. So junior year rolls around, senior year comes about, and I've gotten bigger, stronger, faster, more athletic,
Oh, so during this time, are you going to the workout to the weight room during the summer or no?
Oh yeah, dude. I never stopped hitting the weight room.
So you're lifting.
When I told you I fell in love with the weight room, I fell in love with the weight room. I live to this day.
So
I
from
was lifting for lunch today.
so
So
for the so from Moorfield during the summer, you'd wake up, go to the weight room, and then go home.
yeah, at the times those summers we didn't have the strength conditioning programs that we had now, but they were starting up. I remember Coach Garcia, junior year and my sophomore, my junior year would be I think the one in charge of the weight room or something like that.
Mm.
Aaron Garcia, if I'm not mistaken, and I remember lifting all summer. Like it's just I lifted all summer. That was my passion.
I had Aaron Garcia on the show a few weeks back.
Oh yeah, yeah. He was one. He was there when I was there as a sophomore and junior. He was there as a senior as well, but I was in the offensive line. He was the defensive line
Órale.
guy. And so senior year, I bulked up. By this time, I'm already bench pressing 300 plus. And that's a number that we would like to see more. I think the coaches nowadays would like to see more of. Because back then, those days, a lot of the kids were bench pressing those numbers, 275 plus, um, and now it's a little bit more difficult to find. I don't know why.
All right, so do you blame your what I mean when we talk about lifting weights and coaches and the mind is we talk about nutrition, and of course you got to do the lifting and the overload progression and all that. What was it in your mind at that time that you got so big? Was it more lifting? Did you eat a lot? Calories, carbs, what?
Well, for me, dude, I've always thought that I'm a big body, and my big body was supposed to be big.
Genetically, you were gonna be big.
I'm an endomorph. I'm gonna be
right.
big, and so I've always it may be wrong. I don't know, dude. But when I lost that 242 pounds, I could do a push up at 242 pounds. But when I got to 180, when we were doing 2-a-days, I couldn't do push ups. I couldn't. I don't know if my body was broken down. I don't know. But at 242, I could do push-ups. So I had a lot of I guess they call it, the good kind of fat where you're strong. And then when I got rid of all that, I had nothing. I don't know if that's a true story. I see. I'll come up against people that are big bodied, and you shake their hand, their grip is super strong. I don't know what en qué está, pero tan fuertes.
Yeah.
So. For me, it was always the more the more I eat, the more I consume. Yeah, I was gonna be stronger, and carbs are for performance. Proteins are for building the body. So yeah, the more I consumed, the stronger I got, and the bigger I got. I got to about 255 as a senior.
Damn, I was weighing 160
as a senior.
Yeah,
that's chiquito, dude. As receiver.
I played basketball.
Oh, you didn't play football?
No.
No, está bueno.
And then, so were you being looked at your junior? Well, you were playing offense. You're playing your senior year. You played offense or you played defense?
Senior year, I was in the offensive line. I was a left guard, pulling guard.
No one gave you any looks.
Nobody gave me any looks, dog. I mean, to be honest with you, and realistically, it's. Realistically, I was, it's hard to get to the next level to begin with.
Right.
And then, I was the smartest offensive lineman. I was 250 pounds. You had the center was definitely bigger than me. The right guard was definitely bigger than me. Big dog was definitely bigger than me. And the left tackle to my left was bigger than me. They were all taller than me too. Balde's he was a center. I think he's 6'2", 6'3". You know Balde Gonzalez. He was there at the he was there at the Chavez for a while. I don't know if he was.
No, I've been at Chavez for 3 years.
Oh, okay, I don't know how long ago Balde was there, but yeah, Balde was bigger than me. He's a center. He was a center. So I was just a little tiny offensive lineman, but I was a pulling guard. And no, I was not getting any looks, and I sucked, dude. To be honest with you, I mean, as much as I like to say that I was good, I wasn't very good, and that's why realistically, my chances of being on any football program at the second level or the next level were slim. I just, like I said, the combo that I had was going to be here and here. By the way,
how do you get to UT Austin?
Well, one thing I haven't talked about in all these 30 minutes that we've been on here is my grades. Uh,
Mm.
I was smart. I told you I was a nerd. I went to the teacher academy. I went to the beta academy, and I was very smart. I ended up being top 10% without even knowing that such a thing existed. I was number 21 out of 1,200. And
Nice.
I didn't even know that top 10% would get you to a college. I didn't know that top 10% was a thing. I didn't know it was a thing until my senior year, towards the last few months, when they go, "Hey, you're ranked." What does it mean to be ranked? I didn't know. I was just doing me. I was going to class. I like going to class. My favorite teacher was Mr. Steckler. I went to Mr. Steckler's class. I enjoyed his class. And that was, two things that I live for: the weight room and, going to calculus. I love going to calculus because I knew that I was going to learn something new every day in that class. And so I learned. And that's what my grades is what got me to the next level. And to further continue the story, my senior year, um, I told myself, I want to go to college. Well, where do you want to go? I had no idea where I wanted to go. I applied to Baylor, Texas Tech, A&M, UT, UTRGV, or UTPA at the time, STC. I applied to LSU. I applied to all these colleges, all the big ones, not because of the football program, just because my parents went to school in Mexico. The closest thing I had an idea of a college was UTPA and SCC, and that was
Mm.
because what the schools were announcing. But I had no idea that I was going to go to college, to be honest with you. I knew that I was going to go get a degree. I just didn't know where or how, or
Yeah.
I was going to figure it out. My parents didn't have any money, so all of my schooling came from out of pocket FAFSA, financial aid.
Right.
So when I found out that I was top 10% and that top 10% people can get accepted to anywhere they want it, I
Yeah.
applied to all these schools. Every school accepted me. Baylor, UT, all the schools accepted me. They said, "Well, yeah, man, you're accepted to college. Awesome." Now that the choice, where do I want to go?
Mm.
Um, I had friends going to Baylor. I had friends going to A&M. I had friends going to Texas Tech. Friends going to UT. One of my closest friends, my best friend today, my compadre, him and I went to the same university, University of Texas, of the Longhorns. And I had told myself, anywhere I go, I'm gonna go and walk on. I'm gonna go and try out. Um,
Because you knew you were going to be in college,
I
guaranteed.
wanted to play football. I wanted to
Yeah.
prove. I say I wanted to prove to people. I don't think I wanted to prove to anybody because, and I'll tell you this story in a little bit. I don't think I wanted to prove anything to anybody. I think I wanted to prove to myself, or I wanted to be like my dad, or I wanted to be a football player. I don't know what it was, but I wanted to go play football anywhere I went.
So knowing that you're going to get accepted anywhere of your choice because of the top 10%. So do you keep working out and working
Most
like
definitely.
because
Yeah,
you know
dude, I
you're going to
never
try out for
stopped.
the football team?
Yeah. At the time when I was working out as a senior, I said to myself, well, maybe if I don't get a chance to be on the football team, because I'll start to lose some weight and start to look good. I was never going to look good. I'm a big body. I'm an endomorph. It's really hard to get a six pack. You really have to diet. I hate dieting. I'm having a hard time doing that today. 30 years age. It's hard to diet, dude. But at the time, I'm a senior. My metabolism is super fast. I'm gonna try and lose some weight and cut and lean out and get faster. Try to run, under a 5 flat. I never ran under a 5 flat, brother. I just want you to know that I've never in my life run under a 5 flat. How did I get on the football team? Here and here. Okay, my 40 speed in college was a 5.4.
Damn. I
Yes.
ran a 4.6 in high school. Damn.
So, like I
So
said, it was
at least
here
at least you're super
and here.
strong. I was pretty quick, so
Well, I had a big body, and so let me tell you, when I got to UT, the first thing I did was I'm looking for a football player. I don't know who. I don't know anybody, dog. So I see this guy, Charlie Tanner, from a distance, probably about 2 blocks away. Big guy, for lack of better words, big guy. I see him from a distance. And I said, "Hey, Juan, that guy's a football player, man." He goes, "How do you know?" Pues mira los pinches traps que tiene, vato. No, miras o que his traps are
yeah,
about
yeah,
this
yeah.
big, dude. So I go, you know what? I run to him and I go, "Hey, my friend, you're a football player, yes or no?" He goes, "Yeah, man, yeah." "My name's Luciano, so and so. What's your name?" He goes, "It's Charlie Tanner. I go, look, I want to try out for the football team. What do I got to do? And
Yeah.
he points me in the right direction. I talk to this guy named George Wynn. George Wynn, yeah, is his name. He points, he tells me what I gotta do. Follow all these paperwork, dude. If I can get some
Yeah.
videotape, get some videotape. If I cannot, then the chances are that I'm not gonna be on the team.
Right.
I don't get any film, dude. I didn't have any highlights. Who was looking at me? Nobody was looking at me.
Right. Right.
I had nobody sent any highlights to anywhere that I know of. This to this day, I don't know that was a thing. So I had no film. I turned zero film in. So I turned in all my paperwork. I told him real briefly about my shoulder injury my sophomore year, and they said, "Yeah, you're fine. Can you move it? Yeah, I can move it. Cool. Okay, cool. So you're good to go. Fill out the paperwork. I don't know. I don't remember the exact numbers of how many people tried out. I like to say it was like 21 people showed up to that meeting to say, hey, all the paperwork got turned in. I think only 16 of us got an opportunity to try out that day or that following day because it was real fast paced. Hey,
Right.
today you made contact. Tomorrow, turn on your paperwork. The day after, we got tryouts.
Boom.
It was fall of 2008. McCoy was on the team, and that's the year they went out to. They lost to Crabtree when Crabtree made that one-handed, you know,
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
one-handed
Yeah.
catch, and Crabtree was it Texas Tech ended up going to the next. They took UT away from getting that number 2 spot.
Yeah. Yeah.
So fall of 2008. It goes real fast paced. You go get the paperwork turned in. Tomorrow you try out. Get that soon ASAP. So I took care of all that stuff, dude, in 2 days. 2 3 days, whatever
Right.
amount of days. And it was so fast paced. And I remember turning it all in. We were sitting in the team meeting room and go, okay, guys, let's go to the bubble. So nos llevan para el bubble, dude,
Yeah. Yeah.
caminando,
Yeah.
obviamente. I have no cleats, coach. I have no cleats. Everybody else has cleats. Uh, I'm in shorts. Everybody else has gear to work out in. Everybody knows what to do except me. All these guys, coach, believe it or not, are guys. A lot of them that were studs. Like they were studs in the high school program. They just didn't get an opportunity to play at the next level, or they didn't get an opportunity. They got offers elsewhere, but they wanted to go to UT.
Right.
Some of those guys are preferred walk-ons, but these 16 individuals were not so much preferred walk-ons. They were just people that they didn't want to go elsewhere, or they didn't. They were studs in high school, but nobody gave them an offer. Well, we go to this bubble. Nos dan una friega, dog. Quit. Like it's all quit. Um,
So
they
what, is it?
they
Is it a workout they give you, like a strength and conditioning workout,
they
or what?
give they give you like a lot of that day was a lot
Conditioning.
more conditioning.
Yeah.
Yeah, can you hack it? Can you hack it? Can you hack it? So they did a lot of back drills, a lot of footwork drills. Can you follow directions, follow orders? XYZ. What are you willing to put into this program?
Right.
So eran como 2 hours worth of working out and drills and footwork and whatnot. So cool, man. Mad Dog. I don't know if you know who Mad Dog is. Mad Dog was the strength and conditioning coach at the time. He's like a Hall of Famer, strength and conditioning, whatnot. He takes it inside. He brings us all in. He goes, all right, guys, y'all know what y'all gotta do before y'all can start walking. I don't know what he's talking about. He says y'all gotta crawl before you can walk. So what does that mean? Ah, man. So that means this was that drill. This was you call it the I love Texas drill or crawl before you can walk drill. Um, you start at the zero line, the zero goal line, and you go all 100 yards bear crawl, and every 10 yards you gotta do 5 up downs. And every time you go an up down,
Oh.
you gotta say I love Texas. And that was the crawl before you can walk, and let me see what you got mentality.
Yeah.
So, pues, están todos en friegas, everybody lined up in their cleats and looking pretty, all sweaty and all stuff. And I'm over here, no cleats. I did all my stuff without cleats, coach. That walk on, that tryout. So I'm at the zero line, and he blows the whistle, and todos en friega. Holy smokes, everybody's going real fast. Coach, I'm the last one to finish, coach. I'm the last one to finish. So I get started, coach. Okay, 10 yards. I love Texas. And he said 5 every day, every 10 yards, right? Go
Right.
down. I love Texas. I love Texas. Man, is this number one or is this number two? I don't know. I started all over again. I love Texas. One. I love Texas. Two. I love Texas. Three. I finished my five. I move on to the next one. I love Texas. Man, what number am I on? Am I on? And I see everybody already being on the 40, 50-yard line. I'm like over here
It's
on the
gotta be
20,
tough.
dude. So I said to myself right here, and I was down on the floor. At this time, I'm thinking, I can quit right now and get up, walk out those doors. The coaches don't know who I am. The players don't know who I am. Charlie Tanner didn't know who I was. Nobody knows who I am. I could walk out, no harm, no foul. But leave the door right now.
Yeah.
No, I can't. I gotta do something about this. So I finished, man. I go, I love Texas. One. I love Texas. Two. Ya estoy en friegas contando otra vez from number one. Go to the next one. Coach, I lost count every single 10-yard line, coach.
Oh
Every 10
man.
yards, I lost count and I started all over again. I was the last one to finish. Coach Mad Dog was over there with the rest of the kids, the rest of the players waiting for me. So I finally finished, coach, with the last one. I probably did over 100 up downs, coach. I'm over here, dead ass tired. I was ready to quit. I was ready. Why the hell did I finish this if I know I'm the last one? If I know that I'm not as athletic as these guys, if I know that, I'm gonna walk up, I'm gonna pick up my non-cleats, I'm gonna pick up and go.
Yeah.
So Mad Dog talks to us. He goes, wait. Everybody sit down, relax, take off your shirts, cool down, relax, get some water. I said, okay, get some water. All right, man. Y'all did a good job. Y'all did a great job out there. But y'all see that kid right there? He points at me, dude. This is my greatest moment ever. He points at me. I was like, holy shit. Holy man. He's pointing at me. This guy, Mad Dog. That guy has integrity. And I was like, I have no idea what the word integrity means. I'm from La Jolla, you know what I mean? I don't know what that means at the time. And I go, okay, cool, I'll take it. That guy has integrity. He may have not been the first one, but he did what I asked him to do. And some of you guys cheated.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I was like, holy smokes. Well, to be honest with you, I probably did 100 up downs, but I did what you asked me to do. So yeah, man. So that's he
That's
looks at
pretty cool,
me.
man. That's pretty
Yeah, I was
cool.
excited when he looked at me that way and he called me out and he pointed me. He was the only guy that asked, or there was probably other ones there too, but he said that's the one guy that I really noticed. Dude, I remember when I was yelling, I love Texas. The one thing, and I go back to this is why it's important to mention that Coach Benoit was a big advocate in my life for being expressive in the weight room. Every
Yeah.
time that I got up and I yelled, I love Texas, I was as loud as I could be.
Yeah.
I love Texas. I
Yeah.
was loud. And I remember that I had to pour it out from within because if I didn't pour it out from within, I wasn't gonna get noticed. I
Right.
wasn't
Right.
I wasn't gonna be the guy that he calls out. I needed to call it from within. And so, I think Coach Benoit, I don't go up to him and tell him all the time, like, well, thank you. But, it's because of him that I can express myself in the weight room.
Yeah.
It's okay to yell. He taught me that it was okay to express and to yell in the weight room. And that's the one of the reasons why I got noticed at UT when Coach Matt Dunn points at me, he goes, that guy, I noticed him. Uh, so yeah, he noticed me. He notices me. We've all finished the workout. He calls me back. He goes, you and you, two guys. Two guys. Come see me in my office tomorrow. Come and talk to George Wynn tomorrow, and see if we can get you fixed up. What does that mean? We're gonna give you another week. We're gonna look at what you guys got another week. I was like, wow, for reals? He goes, yeah. Why? You can't believe it or what? I go, no, I really can't, dude. I'm like, I got 5'4", 40. I had to go back and ask him the next day. I go, Coach Mad Dog, what'd you see in me? He goes, you're the guy that I noticed. You're the guy that I noticed. And so, I had a 5'4", 40, slow as hell, 250 pounds, bench press maybe 315, 335 at the time, squatted maybe 380, 385, 390. So I was just an average Joe. And so
Right.
I was the one he noticed. And it goes back to, having integrity, not having a quitter's mentality, not being afraid to express yourself the way that, your coaches taught you. Coach
Right.
Benoit taught me to express myself in the weight room, and I've truly appreciated that. I don't think I've ever told him, but I should probably tell him. I appreciate you being you, because it's because of you that I can express myself in the weight room. He doesn't know that, but I'm saying it out loud now.
I'm sure he does now.
este, so
You know,
I
go ahead.
go ahead.
I was gonna say I always give him props on the show as what an awesome quarterbacks coach that he is.
Almost definitely, coach. He's a hell of a guy, and it's because of him that my love grew in the weight room. So I owe mad props to him, and I owe mad props to all my coaches. They molded me without me knowing. They molded me and slowly bent me here and bent me there, and everything happens for a reason to become the person that I became, and now I am who I am. So I owe a lot to all my coaches, whether they were with me directly or not directly or indirectly. Um, so
So when did you get your cleats?
I got my cleats. Oh, coach, and I'll get to finish my story. I haven't finished it. I actually was not on the football team that fall.
Uh-huh.
It sucks, right? Because all that work, and I go back the next day to talk to George Wynn. He says, "All right, what does your class schedule look like?" I had a class at 4 o'clock. Well, they start meetings at 2 o'clock, and then they have practice at 4 o'clock. So that was a class conflict, and so I was like,
Man.
George Wynn says, "Look, this is what I'm gonna do for you, because everybody liked you. You're gonna come back to me every Monday, and you're going to talk to me. You're going to sit down with me for about 5, 10, 15 minutes. You're going to come back to me every Monday into the spring, and then we're going to allow you to walk on or try out in the spring again." So I go back every Monday, and he goes, "Just make sure you're working out, make sure you're running, make sure you're staying active, don't get fat." He literally says, "Don't get fat." And so I do, coach. I try my best. Dude, you know how hard it is to not gain the freshman 15? It's hard.
Super hard. It's super hard.
Freaking hard, man.
Yeah.
I work out, dude. I go with my best friend. I go, "Hey, brother."
So you got to do it on your own at this point.
At this point, I got to do it on my own.
But they have a nice rec center up there.
They do. They have multiple rec centers, and the one that I went to was the one that wasn't as nice, because I didn't like going to the nice one because it was always packed.
Yeah, it's always packed.
I hate that, man. So I told my buddy, "Let's go to this one. I got a great workout in." Every Monday, I would go and see George Wynn, and I would go and, "Hey, I got my workouts in. This is what I've been doing. I've been running." Obviously, I don't get coached. I don't have a personal trainer, but I've been doing it on my own. And so we just every 5, 10, 15 minutes, every Monday, I go and show my face. I go, "Hey, I'm over here. Hey, Coach Matt, how you doing? Hey, Coach, how you doing?" I met Matt Brown in the hallways a couple of times, and so that was that. My fall year, my fall semester, come spring semester, they actually allowed me to try out again, and that was a friega more, because that was an entire week of workouts.
Oh, snap.
It wasn't just one day. That was an entire week. So I was like, So I went through it again, man. I went through the entire workouts again. At this point, there was no, I can walk out right now. No, at this point, I've already dedicated all of my high school 4 years, all of my summers, all of my educated grades, all my education. I've already dedicated everything to this point. There was no quitting. There was no going back at this point now.
Right.
So I said the entire week, okay, let's do it. Walked on, tried out. Everybody liked me. Everybody loved me. Worked out my ass off in the weight room. In 4 years at UT, I got one play in.
No.
So all that hard work, was it worth it? Hell yeah. I got one play in. I have it on video too. I don't know where it's at, but I have it on video. I get my ass creamed.
You're like the local Rudy. You're like the local Rudy
the local Rudy, man. I got one play. It was against the Kansas Jayhawks. We were up like 40-0 or something like that. And we said Coach Bo Davis at the time. He goes, "Loose." Actually, I think he called me the Chupacabra at the time. Yeah. I was from Mexico or something like that. I said, "Chupacabra is salía así. Get in." Got one play in. Got like zone. Got your bat. Get out. Get out. So, but no, man, it was fun, man. Those are 4 years.
Was that your senior year, or like what year was that?
Senior year, dude. That one play was my senior year, and he got me in, got me out. But a couple of times, man, like I was very active on the sideline. Muschamp, my junior year, Muschamp, we were out in. I got a couple of opportunities to travel with the team, and my junior year was, I was on the scout team. Muschamp allowed me to be on the travel team. That one game we went out to Kansas State. I think we lost that game, and was I was just being supportive. I was just I was being. They always told us to wave our little towels, on the bench. Make as much noise as you possibly can. I'm over
Right.
here, pumped up, yelling. I've always been active, obnoxious, super loud. Let's pump up the UT team. Let's go. And pues I was, I caused some attention from the Kansas State bench, or what's called the Kansas State fans in the
Mm,
back. And
mm.
they were like, put him in, 52, put him in. And Coach Brown was there, dude. I was so embarrassed. Coach Brown was there, and Coach
Eee.
Muschamp was there. And I was like, ah. So I stopped waving my towel. And then
Right.
somebody tells me, don't stop waving your towel. Keep waving your towel. Support the team. I was like, yeah, but look, I'm causing some kind of embarrassment right here. We were losing, I think. If I remember correctly. And so I was feeling a little bit embarrassed because
Right.
in my heart, inside, I was like, yeah, if they put me in right now, was they're not gonna. If we're losing by 12, 13, 14 points right now. They put me in. What's one more touchdown? Worst case scenario,
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking in my head. But I wanted to go in, and then I
Yeah.
was like, maybe the crowd will convince Coach Muschamp, but nah, it didn't
Right.
happen.
Yeah.
Uh, I wasn't ready, dude. When Coach Bo Davis let me go in for one play, I wish he would have let me go in for two plays. That first play, dude, you're on national TV. You gotta get your feet wet at some point, right? And so you're on national TV. You're scared crapless, and I'm like,
Right.
so a second play would have been nice. I got my feet wet. I was on national TV. Now I'm ready to
Right.
go. Um, but that's on the perspective of the player. That's a whole other issue, dude. You screw up on the national TV. You screw up, and everybody sees you.
Yeah.
And you miss a block.
You're on
You
the
don't penetrate the
replay.
line. Yeah,
They draw it up.
yeah. So you they have a lot of pressure. So my first play in there, I'm under a lot of pressure. What if we're 40-0 and because of me they go and score? So I was like, oh. So I
You
wish he would have
overthought
given me
it.
a second play, but things happen for a reason. I graduated with a degree in mathematics, pure math. I didn't have the highest GPA. I think that at the time that I got to the college level, I dedicated too much time to not studying as much, but versus I wanted to be a football player.
Right.
So I started dedicating a little bit much more time towards being a better football player versus my education. So I do
While you,
regret
but
that.
while you were, that's why you were in college, though.
Yeah, yeah. This was
While you
while
were
I
in
was in
college.
college.
Right.
I kind of let go of my studies a little bit. I could have been an easy 3.0, but in one of my classes, first of all, you go, and I don't want to put the blame on anything or on anyone, but you got the workouts. You wake up early, you wake up late. I mean, you go to sleep late because XYZ reason. There was a couple of times I would catch myself falling asleep in class.
Mm.
And that's tough. When you have 5 a.m., 6 a.m. workouts, you got practice in the afternoon, you got meetings, and by the time you get home, it's already 10, 11, 12, and then you got to go back again the next day. It's tough. At the same time, that's not a reason why. Winners never sleep, uh, but I wanted to sleep, and I think that I jeopardized my education a little bit because I wanted to become a better football player at the same time. But it wasn't a big issue. It was a non-issue because I still got my degree,
Yeah.
Um, sometimes I do regret not getting that 3.0. I could have gotten a 3.0, but
Uh, I'm one of those that you got the degree. I think what, just from hearing your story, my thing, for example, the one play to me right now in your profession, that doesn't matter to me. It's more of all the knowledge you gained and experience you gained while you were there with the, because obviously you were on the team. So I'm assuming,
mhm.
can you guide us through what kind of daily grind did you do? Or Coach Benoit, Kenny Benoit doesn't like using the daily grind. Your daily routine for the love of the game. What was that like? So kids can understand that it's a job. the hours. It's like a 6 to 8 hour job during the day.
It's a full-time job because
Yeah.
number one, you're a student, and number two, you're an athlete.
Right.
So you go to workouts in the morning because
So you have a 6 in the morning.
6 in the morning, you were already on the clock. So
And you're
working
lifting.
out you're lifting, you're working out. It was team workouts. You're doing this or that for 2 hours.
Yeah.
And then your classes start at 8:30. So you have like your 30 minutes to shower. So if you have class at 8:30, if you're one of the lucky ones to have class at 9, 9:30, 10 o'clock, or even 12 o'clock, awesome. But I wasn't lucky enough. My schedule revolved around whatever I could find because mathematics, whatever reason, they only had I don't know, I don't remember the exact details, but I would go from working out to class, and so that was tough for me because you wake up early to begin with. It's cold sometimes. I remember one time it was snowing, which is not a big deal because I'm sure in other places it's always snowing.
Yeah, I did my master's at Indiana State. It snows a lot over there.
It snows, man. So when you get up early in the morning, 5 o'clock, 5:15 to get ready, be in the weight room by 6 o'clock and ready to go because actually you're not gonna get ready at 6 o'clock to go start at 6:30.
The whistle starts at 6 a.m.
Yeah, at 6 a.m. you started working out. Let's go. You're on the clock. Let's work out. It's everything was scheduled, and then you have your cardio. You have all your workout sessions, your footwork outside, and then you go to class. You grab lunch whenever you can. During the football season,
during that time, was it 2 classes or 3 classes? For the most part, the 12 hours, 15 hours?
The 12 hours, yeah. If I remember
2
correctly, it
and
was
2.
12 hours. Yeah, 12
2 and
hours,
2.
15.
2 and 3.
Yeah, it was like 3, 3 and 4 or 4, 4 and
right,
something like that. 4, 4 and 4 or something like that. I don't remember the exact details. It was a while back, 7 years.
Right.
Pero yeah, so that I do remember that I went from working out to class to go have a bite if I get an opportunity to have a bite, because that was tough too. Because if you have a class that was right after another class and you didn't have a bite, you were talking about maybe grabbing a banana after workouts, which was frowned upon. You have to as a football player, you have to maintain your nutrition, especially at the college level, because if you're not eating, you're going to be losing 2 or 3 pounds a day.
Yeah,
I remember during tour days, you get weighed in every day. Like,
oh, wow.
As soon as you showed up, you got weighed in. When you were done with practice, you got weighed in again. Hey, you need to go consume some energy. You need to go consume some water or XYZ. And they would chart you down. I remember that. So it was hard to find time to eat. And you're a college student too, dude. And if you're paying for your own way, then that even got sometimes more difficult. So I look forward to, because you had a little protein station there at the weight room. After workouts, I would go eat, and munch out, make a protein shake, sometimes put two what was it called? Muscle milks in the blender, and put some peanut butter, banana.
So that was free for you.
That was free for us. Yes, sir.
Nice.
And then they had little energy snack bars over here on the side. So I look forward to waking up, finishing my workout.
Pack up the backpack.
And those Gatorades, were also free, thank God. So I maintain myself as much as I could with those supplements. And that's the thing that's important to note too. Those are only supplements. As a coach now, we try to tell our athletes, protein is not a meal replacement. Protein is a supplement.
Yes, sir.
So it's important to note that. But in the college level, at the college, when you're in college, sometimes it's and I know it's hard for our students too. But when you're paying your own way, sometimes buying food was also difficult. And so I look forward to getting the protein shakes in the morning, and munching on that throughout the day. I would take an extra muscle milk. Amigo coach, hey, take an extra muscle milk. If you want an extra one, take it. So I'm going to metía otro muscle milk in my backpack, have it for later. Then I would have lunch. I got fortunate enough senior year to because I didn't know any better, but I could have always had like a little members card to the Longhorn football dining hall. But I had to pay for it, obviously. I was already paying for lunch over here on the side, like through they call them Bevo Bucks or something like that. Yeah. And so I instead of paying for that meal plan, I could have just added the meal plan over here instead of that one, and that would have been the same price for me because I was number one, I was a football player, and number two, I was already paying for that stuff.
So you could have done the other one was better for you then.
Yeah, it was, and the food was so much better too, dude. You would go and They would make your own spaghetti. Estaba bruto todo el
So
pedo ahí.
football players, that's a perk of being a football player.
Yeah, for sure. There, that what you had. If you were on scholarship, you would eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner there. So
Nice.
they had neat meal plans, from what I understand. And I had lunch there, and dinner. I would make my own dinner over here on the side of the house. I started learning how to meal prep slowly but surely, freeze foods and whatnot. So yeah, that was the daily grind. And then off season came around. Once the season was over, there was no like, oh, it's Christmas. No, yeah, you go home for Christmas, but you come back and it's more grind. So it was grind before Christmas, grind after Christmas. And if you stayed in Austin for the Christmas days, then it wasn't mandatory, but it was expected that you would have a workout if anybody was around. You had your key card, so go have a workout.
Oh, nice.
So it was the grind was always there.
Well, coach, and for example, you go through those workouts, and that's why I like having people like yourself that have that college experience, because I had Adan Montalvo here. I haven't had Eric. He even played professional ball, but I had Benoit here. Who was I had that was a college? I can't remember, but I like having those conversations because I was not in the. I wasn't a collegiate player, but I worked at the university level, always dealing with collegiate athletes and the coaches. And it's always one of the biggest things that I have is how different was your experience from the high school to the collegiate workouts, and how have you tweaked that a little bit, seeing that when you were doing high school coaching?
What's different? When I was doing
was it a big difference for you or about the same?
It's very different. But you try to make it as similar as possible. It's different in the sense that you're only allowed an athletic period. That's 45 minutes.
In high school.
In high school.
In
college, you got the 2 hours in the morning.
Right.
And really and truly, they got those 2 hours. You have 100 and something players. The way they broke it down was, so this group comes in from 6 to 8. This group comes in from this time to this time, and this other group comes from this time to this time, and you're expected to show up. And those were the workouts. It was always before practice, but there was some students, some players that didn't have a full schedule. For example, they would have a break between 10 and 12, and so they would come in during that time and work out, and that was their group time. Right. So that was scheduled. That was for the scholarship players. They worked around with them, with their schedules, and this was more for the upperclassmen, because if you were a freshman, you were at 6 o'clock in the morning. That was the expectation. Freshmen, 6 o'clock in the morning. Right. Freshmen and walk-ons, if I remember correctly, it was 6 in the morning. And then the upperclassmen, they had the opportunity to come in at 10 to 12, but it was their group. That entire 20, 30, 40 people would work out at that time.
I got you.
The next group would come in at the next time, and that was their group. So time is important. And here at the high school level, we're only allowed 45 minutes. If you are lucky enough to have kids want to work out on their own because of the UIO rules, then that's on them. And that's what I did a lot as a high school student. I would spend hours in the weight room. Remember off seasons. In the spring, I would stay after school like almost every day. Like I lived by the weight room. Just to lift. I didn't really like running, but to lift, I love lifting. And I lift to this day. I was a powerlifting coach there at La Jolla, and I led by example, or tried to lead by example as much as possible, because if I'm going to be telling my kids to go put on 900 pounds on their back, then I better go be putting on some weight on my back as well. Right. So I try to lead by the best example that I can, if I can. Obviously, right. If I get hurt, I'm not gonna go.
I'm a firm believer in if we're coaching and we're expected for kids to work out, I'm a firm believer in lead by example. I'm not saying I'm as big as you, but I like to work out as much as I can. I like to be active as much as I can, and make sure that I can perform certain skill sets that I'm going to demonstrate. Well, and of course, my favorite is basketball, but during football, I teach them and I can demonstrate. And I'm a firm believer in that. But when you talk about, you mentioned you're a powerlifting coach, and I know that because you've been at Chavez when we had to set up the powerlifting meets and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. How much of the knowledge you gained while being a football player did you bring over, or did you have to teach yourself a totally different aspect on the powerlifting?
As a strength and conditioning coach, I try to bring as much as possible over. But again, you try to generalize it a little bit more because you only have those 45 minutes. In the powerlifting program, powerlifting is a little bit different than football. You don't have to worry about being so explosive. You don't have to worry
Mm,
about being fast. So it's a little bit different. And in that particular sport, I did have to go out and learn. You know,
mm,
it was new. I knew some things about lifting.
right.
Coach Espinosa at the time had asked me to be the powerlifting coach, and at the time I started doing the strength and conditioning for La Jolla as well. Um, and the high school program that I ran was very similar to what Coach Joe Trevino at the time when I was at high school ran with us. I tried to imitate that as much as possible, if it was possible. And then, as you grow, you learn new things, and other people have different opinions and different perspectives or perceptions. And different inputs, and then even that makes you grow even more. And so every year will can be different. You may want to run it this particular way, and then things that come into play, or things that may or may not screw up your things, are if you don't plan correctly, or if certain things are not told to you. For example, like test dates. Test dates were kind of hard too, because
Oh
all of a
yeah.
sudden it's a test date. Whoa, where did this come from? Did I
Right.
did I miss this in the calendar? Did I not plan for this in the calendar? So it was a test date, all of a sudden a benchmark, and so that kind of ruins your program a little bit as well. So I've learned a lot, and I've grown a lot. I've learned that in powerlifting, you can get strong really, really fast. You don't have to spend 12, 15 weeks. You can get strong really, really fast just by starting to put on some more weight on your back for less reps. Obviously, you're not going to have the conditioning. If a guy that goes out and bench presses 225, 30, 40 times is not going to have the same conditioning. He's going to have better conditioning than a guy that goes out and bench presses, 405 two times,
Right.
or one time, really.
Yeah, but
Um,
the end goal is a lot different.
yeah, the end goal is totally different. For football, you're talking about speed, power, explosiveness. For powerlifting, you're talking about power. You're talking about
Strength. You gotta get.
strength.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
gotta get strong.
more so than speed. And even and there's some powerlifting coaches that might disagree. They'll be like, no, it's also important to do speed. Uh, and I believe that as well. If I'm squatting, you know I want to come up as controlled and as fast as possible.
Hmm.
I don't want to come out of control, but if I can somehow accelerate out of the down position as best and as controlled as possible, as fast as I can, then that just means I'm stronger, because I can accelerate out of the hole. And if you can't accelerate out of the hole, then you're not as strong.
Right.
So some speed factors into powerlifting as well, but not in the same manner that football does, or even for any other sport. What you do for football is not going to be the same thing um, for baseball. They're two different sports. What you do for football, you're not going to do the same for basketball. And one thing that I do agree with a lot of coaches is you do need your basic lifts. You do need your bench. You do need your squat. You do need your
The
power clean,
compound, the
or
three
yeah,
compound, the four compound
the
lifts.
main lifts. Those
Right.
those are all generalized, or all for all, make it a general thing, if you will. I had girls do it. Coach Espinosa started that a couple years ago, and then Coach Farias continued that as well. He would bring in the excuse me, excuse me. He would bring in the girls, and we would work out the girls, the volleyball girls, the soccer girls, and we would run them through the same program that football was running. Why? Because it's the main compound movements, you know, and that may differ as well. And now I think I would like to say that it's changing. You start to bring in more strength and conditioning focused coaches to high school programs, people that work on rehabbing as well. Not just power, 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 power. If you have people that start excuse me, that are focused on the general well-being of the football player versus I want that kid to bench press 500 pounds, you know if you start to focus on that aspect as well, start to treat him like an athlete. You want him to work on the explosiveness factor, the flexibility factor. You're going to start working on some rehab workouts as well. You're going to start doing little shoulder motions. But see, all that also takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
And we don't have but 45 minutes if you're lucky, because you're talking about having to get the kids back from a stretch, having to get the kids through the workout, having to get the kids
warm up and all that.
the warm up, and then having to get them showered. You got 45 minutes to 55 minutes in a block in a period. That's very limited time.
Oh, hey, coach. So
Mándeme.
okay, como te direct, there's a lot of things right now that I'm like, well, which one do I ask him? So athletics is first period for you guys.
It was first period, yes, sir.
How often do you or can the kids start working out before school starts?
I don't know if there's a rule on that, coach. I think there's a rule on that's like the 8 hours. I don't know what the rules are on that.
Well, no, not under like your direct instruction,
Oh.
but like an open, like for example, basketball, like an open gym, like an open weight room, or no?
Yeah.
But then again,
Okay.
you have that after school or what?
Yeah, we have that after school,
Okay, I got you.
like an open gym after school.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned earlier you didn't have film. What I've mentioned this in my show with, I think I had Adan on who I had, but I mentioned a story where there was this stellar secondary player. I ran into him at True Fit. Hey, what's up? How'd it go with the schools that you get looked at? I mean, this guy's running like a 4.5, 4.4. I mean, punt returns left and right. Stud. He goes, no, the coaches didn't help me. And I said, what? The coaches? Maybe back in the early 2000s, I said, dude, you have YouTube. You have Huddle. You can get your own film and you make your own highlight film. Like, you really don't have to rely on coaches that much to get a film nowadays. Can you kind of train a little bit, or do you know any background on how can kids have that availability nowadays?
Honestly, I think kids know more about that than I do. Because we were watching film, right? And I would see, so and so made a highlight film. I was like, how did he make a highlight film?
So there's kids doing that already.
Yeah, there's kids doing that already, and they. But what also helped too was the fact that in that huddle program, I think we were typing in all the stats. I think you were part of that too, right? You were typing in stats, and that really helped because now number 25 was tagged on play 5, and so it would automatically make those highlight films. So from there, I think you can cut that and then send it out to a college, or the colleges can see it, because if I think so many times the and I don't know how Huddle works, but I think Huddle has a feature where if player 5 is tagged on page 5 of this game, it'll like randomly appear like on the Huddle feed, kind of like a Facebook feed. Nice. I don't know how that works. I'm not 100% correct, 100% sure on that one, but I do have a feeling that it works that way, because I would see film from 5 different kids, and they would be I was like, hey man, that's cool. And then our own kids would also have highlights, as well.
So my job on Friday nights is to kind of facilitate the highlight film making.
You know what? Believe it or not, yes, sir.
Nice. I did not know that.
Yeah, coach. I believe, and I didn't know that either. Not until we started tagging that stuff. Everything started. Me and Coach Garza were like, "Oh man, this is cool." So we put player 5 interception. Here, player so and so, boom, 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 had 25-yard run, or player, and so all those stats started to accumulate, and they would start tagging the plays, and it would make it easier to say, oh, so and so, ran this play, nice. Etc. And they had all this yardage. So that was a really neat feature. And yes, when I was in high school, that was a little bit more difficult because it was transitioning from VHS to DVD.
Way back. Yeah,
that was a lot more difficult back then. So, and not to mention, Coach, like I said, like I didn't have any highlight film. Like I didn't. Like I didn't play junior year, and senior year I wasn't the best. Like the 5 guys that were with me on the offensive line, all 4 guys were better than me.
You know what it was? I think if you would have been a basketball player, you'd been a much better football player.
Coach, you know what I think it was? I wish I would have played middle school football.
That is true.
I wish I would have played middle school football. Like I said, I thought I was fast. I thought I was ahead of these kids. I wasn't. I really, if I could do anything in my life again, it's probably to go back and tell myself, go play middle school football.
Yeah.
Find a way to go play middle school football. And I would have played at Memorial Middle School.
Oh, Memorial. Yeah, nice. Oh, there was Coach JJ Garza and stuff like that. I don't know who the other one was, but that's
Well, I don't
pretty
know who
good.
the coaches were at the time, but
Oh, yeah, that's right. Because we were at the Teachers Academy.
yeah, that would have been my middle school, and I do know that I think they were pretty good. I don't know. It was too long ago. But if I could do anything, go back in time, I would go back and tell myself, go play football. Go be an offensive lineman at 242 pounds. Don't worry about losing any weight. Go play football. Go
get your reps. Get your reps.
You
nice.
know.
All right, Coach. How is it? Well, I guess we don't have to deal with this COVID and virtual stuff. How do you see? Because I'm a firm believer in players should be allowed to change their schedule from football to basketball to then track or baseball. What's your view on that?
You're talking about like high school kids changing?
High school. During football season, you're in football class. During basketball season, you're in basketball class. And then you go back to football or baseball or whatever it might be. Because one of the greatest athletes come out of La Jolla High School did that. That's his name, Adán Montalvo. According to him, he's one of the greatest. But some people say his brother's a lot better than him. So I don't know.
Coach, when I was in high school, I don't remember that happening. I don't remember that a kid was allowed to go from schedule to schedule to schedule. Or if he was, they do what they do now with the varsity kids, you know. Like a varsity kid can go, like if during football season, this was your season, and then during basketball season, like you said, but only for that season and only if he was a varsity player for that sport, not for if he was as a JV guy. And even at that, Coach, that kid needs to get his football workout in. You know,
yeah.
Go ahead.
No. I as a basketball coach, I don't think I could ever coach high school basketball unless there's a program that's going to allow me to do that. If not, I'd rather just stay at the junior high level because me personally, I can, knowing the fundamentals of the body, knowing how strong you can get in a 3 to 4 month period from April, May, June, July, August, I don't see a problem with it. But I see where, as a football coach, you want to get your guys stronger.
Well, Coach, if the basketball player is going to do that, where he's going to go to football, basketball during basketball season, then he needs to find some time to work out.
Right. Coach Ben talked about that. As long as you don't neglect the other one.
Yeah, because I was a football guy and I was a football player, and I was and I go back to my freshman year, I was also a wrestler.
Oh, nice.
Those are two different workouts, Coach.
Right.
And I like wrestling but I was a football player. And I like wrestling because it was good conditioning. But Coach, when I was in wrestling, and as much as I liked the coaches that were there, I was losing a lot more weight. I was already down to 190, 180 pounds.
You got to make
so I was
that
losing
weight.
more weight, and I was like, well, I don't want to lose too much weight because now I can't get strong. So it was like you got to find a way to balance it out, Coach. So lucky for me, I only did wrestling after school, and I was in football athletic period.
Right.
But I think that if you were a freshman, if your primary sport was a football, you were going to be football throughout the year, even if you play basketball.
Yeah.
And I think the only people that
you go after school.
Yeah, to the wrestling program. And so I think that's the way to do it, unless you're like the varsity basketball player that's a stud, that's a star, then maybe go ahead and go through the athletic period, but make sure the kid gets the workout. He's got to get. And then the downside to that too, Coach, is a lot of coaches that are basketball coaches or baseball coaches will say, well, I don't want so and so to be lifting super heavy because it's game day. The philosophy at UT, I mean, if I remember correctly, we were lifting the day before and the day after workouts. I mean,
but not the day of.
The day,
or the day of.
Not the day of the game.
Right, not the day of the game.
Yeah, no, we were lifting the day before and lifting the day after the game. So,
wait, have you ever heard of? There's a new trend where players are lifting right after their game.
Oh, right before their game.
No, after.
I haven't heard of that one.
I
heard of the one before the game.
Really?
And it wasn't like anything to kill the body, but it was something to prepare the body. It was like 3 sets of 5 or 5 sets of 3. Anywhere between 70 to 85% of the maxes, just to prepare the body. Hey, I'm gonna go heavy now.
You're talking about what, like a 30-minute workout or a 2-hour workout, or?
I don't know.
Just a nice little warm up.
I've only heard about it.
I gotta bring. I learned that from Le Castillo, the kicker that you guys had from La Jolla. He's the trend right now in football and some of the basketball players in the NBA is that they're working out either right after the game, within an hour after the game, or first thing in the morning. And of course, you know about that, the breaking of the lactic acid and getting the movement up. That's
Well,
the science behind that.
well, that's the day after the game is when we would go work
Right.
out. So I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know how long the time disparity is, but for sure after the day after the game, Sundays we would come in and work out. We do that here in the high school level.
Yeah.
Saturdays after
Saturday morning.
Fridays,
Yeah. Yeah.
Saturdays come in and work out. So yeah, there's a I don't know about working out right after the game, but I'm sure it's doable. Why not,
I got to bring him on the show so he can explain that stuff to us.
Sergio?
Yeah. Sergio. That's right. Sergio Castillo. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was pretty interesting. He stopped by at Chavez to talk to the kids a little bit, and pretty interesting stuff, man. He has a nice story too.
Yeah, he played Canadian football.
Yeah.
And he played a couple of games too with the Falcons, the Atlanta
Yeah,
Falcons.
pro. He got to the show for a little bit,
Yeah, big time.
so not bad. All right, coach. So as to the parents, what do you advise to parents?
The parents is a little bit more difficult because I remember my mom getting all scared. One time they chicken winged me in a wrestling match, and she was freaking out. But my mom was always very supportive. She knew that I love to work out. She knew that I wanted to go be like my dad. She knew that football somehow ran in my veins. It's just something I wanted to do. So she supported it. They were there for the most part, almost all the games. They traveled to the UT games, even though
nice.
I didn't play. I was like, Mom, Dad, I don't have to come. No, we want to see you on the sideline. I was, well, if y'all want to come. They stayed in my apartment when I had an apartment being rented out. So that was like, they didn't have to worry about the hotel. But parents, be supportive. You gotta be supportive of your kid and understand that there's gonna be some late nights. Especially once we get the ball rolling again. You got the Edinburgh school districts now.
Oh yeah.
That's pretty far. I remember when I showed up to a couple of games. We had games in Corpus. I didn't get home until 2 or 3 in the morning.
Man.
My mom was freaking out. Wait, ¿qué es este pedo? I just got home from the bus. The bus dropped me off. She's like, no, ¿qué estás haciendo? So parents do gotta be supportive and they gotta understand. But at the same time, I want parents more now than ever to push their kids for their education. I think there's a struggle there right now. Pre-COVID and I guess during COVID, I was starting to realize that there's a lot of kids that they're not pushing their grades. They're not. I don't want to study. ¿Para qué sirve to study? So if I could tell anything to the parents, empújelos, push your kids for the grades. My dad was hard on me. Hey, if I wasn't gonna get an A or a B, I'm not playing football.
Right.
And that was my dad. Like my dad my dad was my dad, and he was always hard and strict on me. And if I wasn't getting an A or a B in high school, then you're not playing football. Yeah, the college it was a different story. I go, Dad, I brought home a C. Oh, but you're in college, it's a different story.
Yeah.
But and you're with UT Longhorns, so
yeah,
but,
it's okay. Estás jugando con los Longhorns.
Yeah, but at the high school level, my dad was a hard ass. He said, if you don't bring home an A or a B, you're not playing football. You're not playing sports. Yeah. Because if you're gonna bring home, here we go. If you're gonna bring home a C or a D, then mejor te prefiero hacer un trabajo aquí en la casa.
Right. Yeah.
So that was my dad. My dad was a hard ass that way, and I appreciate that, and I love him for that because that's that was him.
Yeah.
So parents be supportive, but I would like for them to push the grading aspect a little bit more and the honesty factor, because there's a lot of kids out there that I've caught a couple of times that I've caught them red-handed cheating, and
yeah,
I it's because I'm so and so player, and I don't care. Right. I don't care. So right. I would like for that to change a little bit with kids, and it was happening a lot more often than you would think as a teacher.
Yeah.
So, and it happens with all the random kids. Like, I caught so many people cheating, especially during COVID. Like, I was mijita, this paper looks exactly like this paper, and I know that I'm not physically there with you guys, but I know that this paper is exact like this paper. It
Right.
was the exact same paper. Like
Right.
the
Take a picture of it
position,
and here you
yeah, the
go.
position of the number or the
Yeah,
expression was
yeah,
exactly. I measured it, and so it was happening a lot during COVID. I don't. We're not going to school. We're gonna get 70s,
yeah. Yep.
but it was also happening a lot pre-COVID. And that's something
Yeah,
that as a
man.
teacher, I really wish it wouldn't happen. And it's everybody. It wasn't just one kid. It wasn't two kids. It was a lot of kids, and I really wish that that would stop. At least during your high school years. Yeah, once you figure out what you're doing with your life, once you mature, once you figure out that it's for the betterment of you, then
Yeah.
do what you must. But during high school is easy. Why
Yeah.
cheat? You're just showing me that you just don't care as a teacher. So I really wish that if a message that I can convey here, aside from the football stuff, is push your kids to do better in school, get that grade that they need to get, and just to be honest with themselves, because why get that grade if you don't deserve it? Why get an A? I copied off of somebody,
Yeah. It's
you
not
know.
yours.
Yeah, so I really, as a teacher, I don't appreciate that very much. Um, so, and it's a lot of students, dude. 2 years ago, I caught people también with pictures, and they were like right here, and
Hmm.
and so it's been happening
Yeah,
for
so
a
it's got
couple
to
of
be
years.
tough. It's got to be tough being
Yeah,
a teacher, no doubt. All right, so we talked about a lot about your football journey as a player and a student. What can you share, like some of your favorite stories or some of the love you have when you're coaching the football?
some of the love that I have, uh, it's the relationships that are built afterwards too. You build
Mm,
relationships with your kids, while you're there, but that's a coach and student relationship. But like if you look at me and Coach Benoit, like he was my coach when I was in high school, obviously, or he was one of my coaches. But to be able to say that I have a relationship with him or as a friend,
right.
that's pretty neat. And so I know that I have a couple of students that were my former players, that they'll go, "Hey, coach, ¿te acuerdas que dijiste esto?" And I go, "Yeah, man." And so my very first year, with this one particular kid, my very first year coaching, I was coaching freshman linebackers, and we only had like 11 or 12 players, dude, on the freshman team. Like we were trying to rebuild the program, and
Mm,
so we only had so many players, and so I was on the scout team, and this is how the scout would run. And so me acuerdo que was my defensive lineman guy in my mind was I'm gonna whoop him. So my first thing was I gave him a shot to the chest plate right here, and it ended up in his throat. And he goes, and I go, Benito, are you okay? You okay? Yes, coach, yes, coach. But he always tells me, coach, you remember when you did that to me? I go, yeah, I remember that. I'm sorry. It was an accident. It wasn't for real, for real. But that was my first mistake not
it's a
my first
learning
mistake, but
moment. Yeah,
it was
those
that
those
learning
learning
moment.
mistakes.
Don't
Yeah,
do that again. You're gonna hurt
yeah,
somebody.
yeah.
And you think about it, and when I was in high school, all the coaches would grab you real hard by the chest plate. I remember that. I remember Coach Joe and Coach Alanis would grab me by the chest plate. Hey, me agarraban así bien recio, and it was just to
Right,
show you and demonstrate how aggressive you had to be.
right, right.
So, in my mind, I'm thinking like a coach, but I acted like a football player. Uh, so those kids, that's always neat, to have that relationship while you're with them, and that relationship, in the future, these kids come back to you, hey coach, remember, I bump into one of my former lifters there at HEB. He works there in the seafood department,
Mm,
and he always says hi to me. He always says hi to me, and I always say hi back to him. And I have him on the Instagram, and he'll
nice.
message me, from time to time, and I'll message him from time to time. So those little relationships are neat to have, and I'm very grateful for the same relationship that I have with Coach Benoit as well.
Cool, man. Any other last message for anyone out there?
No, I mean, just for those of you guys, those middle school kids and high school kids that are hoping to get to the next level, you know, I don't want to say you don't have to be athletic, because you do. But something that's going to get you noticed is to really be yourself, love what you do, and have this. This is what got me to any college that I wanted.
Yeah,
Like I
the
said,
grades, the
the
mind.
grades. That's why I talked about that right now about the cheating aspect. I never cheated, and I never let anybody cheat off of me. If somebody wanted to cheat off of me, I would cover like this and say they hated me for that, but hey, don't cheat off of me. I never liked that, but
Yeah,
this is what got me to the college, and this is what got me to the program. So, um, those are the. I wasn't athletic. I just told you my story. I wasn't athletic, and anybody that was any of my coaches, they would tell you he wasn't very athletic. He wasn't, how he made it to UT level. I don't know. That's how I made it to UT level because I had this and I had this, and
yeah,
that's it. And I was able to express myself because somebody taught me how to be myself in the weight room. Somebody taught me how to yell in the weight room and express myself, and it got me noticed.
cool. Está bueno, Coach. Hey, well, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it. Hopefully, a lot of people learning the message. And hey, I'm lucky we have you back and you have all that knowledge to share with the program, man.
And Coach, thank you for having me on here. Really appreciate it. This is only my second podcast ever.
All right. Thank you, man. Take it easy. Have a good night.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye. Well, there you go. That is Luciano Martinez. Good guy. Great knowledge. I'm sure he shares a wealth of knowledge from everything he learned at UT Austin. Before I go into my little closing remarks, remember this was brought to you by Luber Mobile Oil Change today. You can reach them at 833-GO-LUBER. It's a new convenient way of getting your oil changed. They will come to you. And of course, For Life, Together Building People, the Immune System Company, independent distributor Rodolfo Mendez. You can find your products at www.forlife.com/Rudy Mendez. Either way. So that's pretty interesting. Man, I mean, to be at UT, to play, to go through that grind and all that stuff that he learned, I mean, that is a wealth of knowledge. I get to communicate with him during when we're pre-COVID and the regular, during the two-a-days, when he'd come to Chavez and set up for the powerlifting. We converse and exchange ideas and from middle school to high school and adjustments and stuff like that. So it's always good to have that kind of relationship with the high school coaches. So we're fortunate. We're fortunate to have some wealth of knowledge there. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the show, learned a little bit, and no matter what, always there is no substitute for hard work. So keep grinding, stay focused. You guys take it easy. Have a good night. Peace.